We about an hour away from kickoff, and I just had to jump on. I usually don't do anything. I'm still gonna do my Sunday live, kind of recapping the game. But I thought better than doing a video. I'm gonna jump on live today, and I know everybody's getting ready for the big game. It's again, we know it's not on Pat. We know it's not on just mainstream cable like we've been used to. This is the first Pac-12 game, and I know a lot of people right now scrambling. Some people trying to get their Fubo subscriptions going or whatever subscriptions. It's not a regular channel, so it doesn't just show up on regular cable packages. So we'll be on the cable on the Pac-12 network, and also I'm sure somebody will be streaming it live. I mean, I caught a couple glimpses of that the first few games or so. That wasn't that channels I didn't have. But I've had this plain Jane, box that I put on the TV because I haven't had cable in years. I have Fire Stick, stuff like that. So the basic channels I had to get through a box and I put on one of my smaller TVs. And that's what I watched the first few games. But when they got to ESPN and everything, I didn't have it. So I did watch them on some of the streaming channels. Now they get kind of messed up because some of the streaming channels may have talking over it or letters or things over it, but it was pretty decent. It's pretty clear. Sometimes I would jump between channels just to see if I can find a better one. But so if y'all don't have it, this is the time to scramble and get it. If you get the Fobo subscription. Now I know I did put out there about the Tanggula box, and that's for future purposes. You're not gonna get it today. I do have a special going on the box that goes to September 15th. It's like if you send me cable cutter and to number 404 500 8451, then that'd be good. Cause I know it's gonna be other games coming up. Probably one or two more, honestly, on this Pac-12. And that was the big issue. That's why everybody was leaving Pac-12 because they just couldn't put it together with the TV deals and other stuff. So this is what we deal with, with the Pac-12. Now you know why we leaving. Some of those other bigger conferences, Big 12, Big 10, they have now, they have some of them have contracts with the Foxes and things like that. But I'm gonna show y'all something real quick. Yeah, I know about the Fubo. This is my box in here. Let me show y'all something real quick because I'm in the house today. Look at this. This is ACC Network here. You see that? Y'all see that? Look how clear that is. Yeah. And this is the box here. See that box there? So that's my little box. So it's working pretty good. So that's what I'm gonna be using watching the game today. Streaming live. Everything is clear, 4K, and y'all can't get something. I would recommend get something like that. You know, it's worth it more than cable. And that's something I got for myself. So I definitely want to make it available for y'all, going forward with these Pac-12 and yes, NFL Network and all of that. And I know a lot of the cable packages kind of already high and then they go through the roof and when you start adding those packages. But yeah, so let's get into these predictions here. Um, Look at here, we have the super chat going. Y'all want to, get your question to come up, you know, go ahead and throw a super chat. We're just gonna go through it. So I believe this is a statement game. This is why. I believe the momentum kicked in last game. And it wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't that not CS, USC was playing sorry. It wasn't that. I believe they figured some things out with the personnel. I believe they hit a switch. I believe that the defense has found a new identity within the personnel and kind of the combination of players. And as long as that secondary play like they did in lockdown and let them to really just focus on the run and just lock down man and pass, and you don't have to scramble everywhere to try to figure out how to plug all the holes in the boat. It's going to be a thing. It's gonna be tough for anybody. It's definitely gonna be tough for Arizona State. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know much about Arizona State. Um, from what I'm hearing, I do hear they have a lot of people out this game, a lot of injuries, and they have like a third string quarterback. It kind of has the feel of a combination of a CSU and Nebraska. I think it feels like Nebraska. You know, they wanted to come in and hang, but they just didn't have the weaponry of the quarterback. It feels more like that. I don't think their defense, of course, is good as Nebraska, and it kind of feels like CSU from the standpoint. You know, it's like there's nobody quarterback. You know, it's not a big lot of weapons, but I feel like CSU did have more weapons. They did have the receiver. That's the NFL bound, and they had the D lineman that was NFL bound, and it was known before the game. But they just don't have enough weapons. And Arizona State may have a couple guys, and we're going to see. But I think that I really expect for CU to get out on a fast start and kind of like just blow them away. As much as I like, as much as I like a competitive game, I'm not worried about competitive game today. I don't want to slow them down. Yeah, yeah. This is like my third live. I'm glad you all made it. I'm glad you all made it to the live here. Um, the CU is going to be. This should be dangerous on offense, honestly. I mean, with Miller out there, I'm sure that Arizona State has had to make some adjustments for Miller. If they don't, they're going to have a problem. That wasn't a fluke. We have been seeing what I call the slow release. We saw every week somebody came in. We saw Harrison. We saw Dawson. And now we see Miller, and I believe there's several more people who can do that. I I seen some channels talk about who is the dark horse. I wouldn't be surprised. Y'all mark my word. I wouldn't be surprised if Javon Antonio. You know he's moved to tight end. He really should have been there. He is the closest thing from an Antonio Gates type receiver, tight end, and they moved him to tight end this week, I believe. And I believe that was always the best place for him. His size, his speed, his hands is more effective in that slot, especially helping with blocking and screens and stuff like that. He's a good blocker. And I think sometimes we want some of them double tight end sets, especially in the red zone. It's gonna be a problem. Imagine if you had Weaver on the outside, Miller on the outside, and you lined up Javon Antonio Harrison. Who gonna stop that? If we went into a four receiver red zone type thing. Who? Yeah, how can you blitz? Because I really feel like if you put Javon Antonio out there, I don't think one man's gonna be able to cover him in the slot. And then whoever gonna blitz from that back, blitz from the outside and leave him open, is gonna get ate alive. And I don't think one person gonna tackle him. He's physical. So you got Harrison. I mean, if we use these weapons the right way, it's really not gonna be a good thing. You put too much attention on not Javon Antonio, on Miller. You see what happened with my guy in the slot here. Why am I going blank? Um, Help me out. My guy number 5. So you leave that slot open. Anybody there really? If you put Dawson there, even if you put Dylan out there, you gonna have a problem in those slots. So if those outside receivers play their game, Horn exactly. I don't know why I slipped my mind. Horn. His speed, and you don't have nobody over top because you trying to worry about looking over that Miller is gonna be a problem. And then the same thing with Weaver. Weaver can go take you deep. He can open up the top of that defense. So if we use our weapons the right way, I feel like it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Shador from a blitzing standpoint. So it would be dumb because you're not going to be able to cover Miller one on one. So that's one extra person. And if that safety is worried about kind of covering over top, then you really can't leave the middle of that field open. So you can't just be blitzing like that from the other safety position or nickel. It would be dumb because some of our matchups are going to require double coverage, more than one person, or else you asking for a disaster. It automatically open up. Now I still believe in run, Shador run. Make them respect you. Everybody. They're gonna pin their ears back. Just run right past them. They come in wide, trying to get around you in the pocket. Take that ain't. Think about it. They're trying to beat Tank on the outside. They're going outside, right? They rushing up the middle. That seam is right there between the tackle and that guard. Because they sending 3 people up the middle, and they sending somebody from the outside, the edge rusher, and he trying to beat Tank on the outside. That seam is open all day. That seam is open all day for Shador. And if they come in from the outside, they leave in the middle open. They're gonna have to respect his legs this week. They're gonna have to respect his legs. And he did it when he needed, but he just need to just be ready to do it. That's what happened in USC. That's what opened up the run game. Because eventually, between him running and those double coverages and and those receivers, somebody gonna have to stop blitzing, and that's a disaster for him too. So it's in his best favor to make them stop blitzing him, and it's just gonna be a pick fest. He's gonna pick them apart. That's what I expect for the identity to kick in for offense this week. But I believe the defense has found their gusto this last week. I do. I mean, with the physical and aggressive play, it kind of rolled over the defensive line. It became contagious. It became like everybody started wanting to kind of get in on it, and that momentum kicked in. And USC didn't know what to do. I mean, you saw it. Anybody know football? You saw it. Everybody, announcer saw it. USC was like, it's over. Like the momentum was in, and they didn't have no answer for it. The only way they can have an answer for it, they go home, figure it out, and come back. They wasn't going to figure out that day. The defense had figured them out. They were being aggressive, and honestly, USC did not have enough weapons at that point. The running back wasn't able to run the ball. Kamani was shutting down Rice. Yeah, we ain't here for 15 no more. So that's all. That's I mean, that was their weapons. Branch was on the bench. The weapons, that's all they had, and we stopped it. Now you gonna tell me outside you just bum rushing from the door, who's gonna stop Weaver, Horn, Miller, Harrison, Antonio? They'll get the run game going with Hank, with his Wilkerson, Dylan, McCaskill. Yeah, we know our players. We can name them, but we our biggest thing that we have going for us is the weapons. Our worst thing is the weapons. I saw that in the beginning of the season when we had all those running backs come in. I said, "Dang, you got Wilkerson came in late. Hank, I didn't know what he's gonna do. We knew about McCaskill, what he's supposed to be. Smoke was here. Dylan was here. I was like, man, the worst thing you can try to do is please everybody because nobody really get that momentum. Nobody really get that traction because they coming in and out the game. Instead of just letting them stay in the game and get the feet up on them. Same thing at receiver. Knowing the team, you have the starters with Weaver, Horn, and Travis was out there. And then Dawson came later, and then Harrison kicked in. And it's like, that's a lot of receivers. Miller wasn't even playing yet. We still had Hopkins. Now, Hopkins moved over to DB, but he's a good receiver. It's good that he's going over to DB because they say he's a stronger DB. But then you also have, I feel like, I mean, Willie Gaines, he can play. But I feel like who else we have over there? Who else we have? I know Caleb Mathis. I know he's I mean he's an underrated receiver. He can slice and dice, and we got a lot of players at their receiver position, young and old, and the depth is there for some other people to kind of step up. Um, Hopefully McCaskill get some game time, some runs. I respect what they're doing. No need to rush him back and injure himself again. That would be drastic. That'd be That'll be horrible. So, slowly letting him get into, getting hit. He was just in the gold jersey a couple weeks ago. Letting him get in, you know, until he strikes something. I think that's cool. I mean, he has like 3 years left. Why rush him into, back too fast? Smoke, I don't know what Smoke gonna do. I don't know what Smoke is gonna do. I mean, he's accepted his role on special teams. I don't know. But I would like to see them jump out on Arizona and let some backups get some reps. Quit playing these tight games. Every game can be a tight game. We didn't have the little Rudy Poop games like everybody else first 2, 3 games. We've been in dog fights from day one. We didn't go play, these low level LCS schools and all that. That's the purpose, is to kind of you use those games to get some playing time for your new players, or get some chemistry going, and to figure out what people can do. You come out against top ranked TCU and go into a rival in Nebraska. I mean, nobody's talking about that. You went straight into the fire for a team who was 1-11 with all the pressure. It was no real room to figure it out. They just had to figure it out on the fly, which I think they've done defensively. Who's best for what. I even seen McClendon at middle linebacker blitzing. So that was different. So that showed me they figured some things out. He got a sack. So that's moving these guys around, and we really just getting to the point where everybody else was, even though we're still playing Division 1, Pac-12 teams, weaker teams in the Arizona States and Stanford. We just now really getting to that point. But it's like maybe it's right on time because we have the injuries and people coming back. But I really would love to see some of those games, even though we got harder games later. I mean, you had what 8 out of 12 Pac-12 was ranked in week 3. But I would have loved to play Oregon or USC later. Not that was just horrible to play both of them together back to back. That was just horrible. But hey, it's not like you're done because you still got to go and play Washington State. You still got to go play Utah, Oregon State, and even UCLA. And it's like, wow, you still got, and I like it. I mean, we're not here to watch sorry football. I'm not here to watch blowouts. I'm not here to have nail biters all the time, but I like good football. That's what I'm here to see. I'm not here to see, you know, people look like they're blowing on the field together. And the Pac-12 is bringing that this year. Pac-12 is better than what ACC is looking like. It's better than, in some ways, SEC is looking like from a competition level because nobody is way ahead of each other. Like everybody is, you know, ranked, and the only way they're going to get unranked is if they beat each other, and that's what we see. The losses are going to come in conference to other teams, and it's going to make them lose rank and lose the ability to go to the playoff, and it just is what it is. So Colorado has to win out, in my eyes. It's not about them trying to get to the conference, maybe a bowl game, but they're really better than the teams they're going to be playing. I know Utah is all this and that, but they already lost, and their quarterback has been out. And when he comes back, he's going to be like McCaskey and everybody else. He's going to be, have to get his feet up on them. If he come back the last couple of games, he's been out, so he's not going to be the same person he was last year. Um, Washington State's going to be a good one. That's like the twin brothers should do as far as the quarterback. They've been trained by the same guy. They both came from the FCS. I'm trying to remember what FCS. And if somebody put in the chat what FCS Ward came from. I know they came right around the same time. Maybe Ward came a little earlier. But he's a good quarterback, and that team is decent. And Oregon State, man, they just fast. I watched them play when they beat Utah, and at home, it was weird. It was like that home field advantage energy. I don't know, it was an indoor facility or something like that. It was just they were fast. That is number 7. He was very fast. And it's just good to know that, by the time that come back, hopefully people are healthy. I think Colorado is still underestimated in a lot of ways. Um, a lot of, just underestimated. They've been underestimated and the losses didn't help. People are already underestimating them, early in the season and expecting them to lose. And they've been holding their breath for them to lose at the Oregon and USC. So I think that this is a statement game. Put that fear back in people's hearts. Oh, because ever since the CSU game and the fact they've been making mistakes, they make people feel like they can beat them. They make people feel like they're beatable, and make them people who know on their level feel like they can hang with them. And the disrespect is this disrespect of Shador, disrespect of the defense is bizarre. So they're gonna have to make an example out of somebody. They're gonna have to make an example out of Arizona and Stanford. And people not gonna respect that either. They're gonna say, hey, well, those are two sorry teams. That's why you gotta put your foot on their throat. Because hater gonna find an excuse anyway. But for yourself, you wanna go into UCLA with some respect on your name. You don't want to squeak by. You don't want to do tit for tat and let them hang in the game and beat them. You want to dominate like you're supposed to. This is a statement game. It's not a. It's not a. What kind of game they call it? A trap game. It's none of that. You 0-2 in your conference, and the sad thing about who you lost to, they can all lose. But even if they lose two, they got head to head on you. So it's pretty much you need them to both to lose 3. You need them both to lose 3, or one lose 3 and Washington go and lose 2. You won't have head to head over them. It's a problem when you lose to both of them so early. Versus having a chance to play one of them later. So that's the only thing about that from a bowl. I mean, not a bowl, but from a conference standpoint. But you never know. I mean, for the most part, they play each other. They probably miss one of each other. Like Oregon doesn't play everybody. You know, I know Washington is not on Colorado's schedule, so I know that both USC and Oregon plays. So it's gonna be a interesting thing to see who's gonna go, who's gonna lose. Who's gonna lose to who, and you just gotta win out. You have no room for error with a team you don't supposed to beat, and you need to go ahead and just go ahead and put it in everybody else. UCLA, what you can, and we're gonna see that today. I know kickoff is coming. What time is it? Probably another 30, 40 minutes. I just want to jump on. I might do a little something after this, but I'm definitely gonna be live tomorrow. Make sure everybody's here who's watching this. Make sure you subscribe. Because we definitely gonna jump on tomorrow, see whatever this result gonna be. I expect the butt whooping. I expect, just like everybody used to say about CU, even though they're not showing it, 21 plus or more. I expect the offense to just score fast, um, score consistent, come out early, not this last quarter of stuff, don't play around. And I expect the defense to really just lock them down. Kind of like, outside of the big plays with Nebraska, more like that. Just lock them down. Because they have one weapon, and I don't think he's going to be able to run like that. I think with adjustments they made, they figured it out. I don't know what you all think. You always comment. I know, people say they can't stop the run. I think they stopped the run last week. I mean, people just kind of get stuck in that, whatever. How did they stop the run? They stopped USC from running last week. Outside of, the horrible backside pursuit, the guy reversed back and scored. Outside of that, there wasn't a lot of running on CU last week. And I'm talking about fairly early, even though they jumped out on those passing touchdowns, those was a bunch of guys who came back from injury, replacing guys who were injured, who haven't had the reps together. Second and third team guys now on first team, mixture of first team, second team, maybe even third team guys out there. And it took them a while to settle down because that chemistry just wasn't there. That's what we saw. Had nothing to do with talent. Football has nothing to do with talent. It's a mixture of guys who haven't played together. This year or last year, they haven't played last year. And what we've seen with this team is what everybody thought from the beginning, why they expected them to lose, but they didn't, is it takes a while for a team to kind of figure it out. Not only the players, but the coaches. The coaches have to really figure out who they can trust where. And you can't figure that out in summer camp. And you have no game time experience with those guys in the past. So they're figuring it out on the fly. 5 games later, you can't tell me they haven't figured out a lot of stuff that they may have known, not have known in the beginning. You can't tell me that because we've seen it. And that's what I believe is what's going on. You know, they definitely gonna score 40 plus points. Definitely. I expect Shador to throw 400, 500 some yards. And I want to really see it be over by third quarter type of game. So we can see some of those backups get in. And I expect them to do damage like some starters. That's what we need this game. We need a game where we're going into the bye weeks in a couple weeks to get some things together, get some confidence, and get off the field and let the backups play and be healthy and be confident going to UCLA. That's the kind of game that we need. Statement game, put people back in their place. It's not going to be on big TV again. I don't know. I hope all you all know how you got it together. Pac-12 network, and they got like 4 or 5 channels. They got Pac-12 Oregon, Pac-12 Arizona, Pac-12. You know, they got all these different channels even with that. So, you know, go ahead, get ready for the game. Not gonna hold y'all up. See y'all tomorrow. Greg said to make sure y'all like, subscribe, and let's go see this whooping here and make all the haters happy. All right, I'll see y'all later.